I hope you're all okay today. Today I want to talk about something that came out of firstly my session with the lovely Sarah Taylor yesterday, where I spoke about my journey through the family courts and how I empowered myself and my daughter, but something that has just come out of my teaching of module 5 of the Tesla Code Return to Self programme, and that is in essence how we turn our emotions into clarity. So for many of us, after domestic abuse and for what can be a long time, we are constantly triggered by things, behaviours, words, actions, patterns, everything sometimes, sadly. And we naturally, when we leave those relationships, or perhaps when we're going through family court or coming out the end of family court, we have a lot of emotions to process, and naturally so. And a lot of us choose to suppress those emotions, to keep them down, keep pushing them down because it's easier, it feels safer sometimes, or just because we perhaps don't have the energy or the want at that time to process them. You know, we're all busy, you know, we all have kind of our mental capacity sometimes taken up with other things. And I mean that in the most respectful way, because there was a point after my abusive marriage where I didn't literally have the capacity to process my emotions because I was trying to survive. I was trying to raise my child. I was trying to run a business. I was trying to keep the house together and what I call general adulting. And I didn't want to process my emotions. I didn't feel able to process my emotions because I was scared to. I was scared of the impact it may have on me. I thought I may become depressed. I thought I may become even more anxious. I thought it may just trigger me more. And for most of us, that is a normal reaction. That is sometimes, and more often than not, our first port of call when we have emotion arise within us and we literally feel it in our body first. The first port of call for many of us is to go, oh my God, no, not today. I can't deal with that. Thank you, and push it down. And for me, I would always feel those emotions rise. So I could literally, and still nowadays, I can literally feel it come up in my body, through my throat. When I chose to suppress them back in the day, shall we say, I would literally feel it stuck in my throat, quite literally feel that, I say pain loosely, but like an ache, like an overwhelm, like a tightness within my throat. Now that feeling, that way of processing it is called the reactive path. So where we're suppressing, sometimes we're sort of avoiding, shall we say, quite literally, or we're getting swept away. And again, I have been there and I've done that, whereby I'll have a text message or an email from someone, you know, whether that's my ex-partner or an organisation when I was going through family court proceedings, and I'd be swept into this, how dare they, like anger, either upset, overwhelm, stress, just again that rise of, oh my God, kind of, you know, which I'm sure sadly many of you can resonate with. And rather than actually stopping, thinking, processing, I just allowed their behaviour, their words, their actions to sweep me into this reactive path again, which in hindsight wasn't the best way to deal with it. But again, it is natural. So if that is you now and you can resonate with this, please just know it is a natural response after what we've experienced. But what I've learned through my understanding and my teachings of the Tesla Code and all the other healing modalities that I've trained in is that reactive path means our energy, our emotion literally gets stuck within the body. It doesn't complete its cycle, for want of a better way of putting it. And that is when feelings like anxiety, overwhelm, stress, literally sometimes the physicality within the body, you know, the aches, the pains, the ailments, the illness, things like that can start to arise, because literally that trauma, that emotion is literally stored within the body cells. And the more we can move to what is known as a responsive path, which is basically where we're processing those emotions, the better we will start to feel. So many of us are taught, maybe growing up, or we've kind of subconsciously taught ourselves through having to suppress our feelings to stay safe in those relationships. We've been conditioned to actually automatically choose that reactive path. As I said, whether that's suppressing, you know, pushing down, avoiding, or kind of being swept away with those heightened emotions. But when we consciously choose what is known as the responsive path, which is basically acknowledging, so almost like remaining with that emotion, as hard as it is, don't get me wrong, it takes time to practice this, but remaining with that emotion, feeling it, recognizing it, naming it, whether that's, you know, sadness, upset, overwhelm, stress, anxiety, worry, whatever that feels for you, right for you, and actually releasing it. So choosing without judgment to process it, choosing to release it. And when we allow it to rise, so literally, you know, you may be able to resonate, you can literally feel that emotion rise in your body, you can feel it overwhelm your body quite literally before it comes into your mind as a thought. Your body reacts before your mind does. And when we allow that emotion to rise, it peaks and it then passes. And as I said, it's easier said than done, this practice, but the more you can allow that wave, shall we say, to pass through you. And when I say pass through you, I mean, you know, if you need to cry, cry. If you need to shout, shout, obviously depending on where you are and safely, but release that expression. If you need to punch the punch bag like I've got in my garage, then do so. You know, if you need to write down, this is lies, this isn't true, this isn't me, whatever you need to do to release that, do so. If you need to dance to just get that expression, that emotion out of your body, to process it, to release it, do so. If you need to sing, do whatever you need to do to release that in a safe way, obviously. And when you allow that wave to pass, you allow the reconnection to yourself, to your body. You start to understand you again, and you start to identify with you again. But the more you react, as I said, suppress, avoid, or perhaps get swept away with those emotions, the more you disconnect from yourself, because your energy is constantly out of alignment, which is where those feelings of anxiety, you know, being on edge, come into play. So choose as much as you can to respond to your emotions, to know that they are normal, they are part of being a human being. We all have emotions and we all react in different ways to things, to experiences, to words, to our environment, whatever that be for you. However you are reacting emotionally is valid, it's justified. But just choose to turn that emotion, that sensation, into awareness, into information for your body, your mind, into a signal of something that's trying to communicate with you, quite literally, because that emotion is communication, and treat it as such. It's not a weakness, it's not a failing, it's not anything being wrong with you. It is literally a signal from your body to say, Michelle, you need to release this. Michelle, you need to let go of this. Michelle, you don't need to connect with this. This isn't you, or whatever that feels like for you in that time. Release it. Let your body feel free again. Let your body reconnect. Get rid of that dense energy that will remain stuck in you otherwise. And that's what we call emotional alchemy. So it's where our energy and our emotions are literally aligned, and where we choose that responsive path. So I wanted to share that with you, lovely ladies, today, because I know for myself, I've been stuck in that reactive path for a very, very long time. Yeah, but in recent years, I've learned the responsive path, as in I acknowledge my feelings, I accept them as being okay, I validate them, I become aware of them. I thank them because they are signaling to me something within my body that maybe I don't feel quite right with, I feel anxious with, nervous about, unsafe with, and they are telling me something. And I listen. And if I need to release that through crying, through dancing, which I'm sure many of you have seen, I do quite regularly, through music, through singing, whatever that works for you, whatever that thing is, through maybe going for a run, then do so. Because that's where the power lies, when you learn to engage with your emotions rather than running from them. It's so, so powerful when you will start to return to yourself. And I know it can feel scary at first because, like me, we don't want to connect with our emotions. We don't want to deal with them sometimes because we may not have the energy, maybe the mental capacity at that time to kind of sit and just be. But the more you can, the more you will return to yourself, the more you will return to your power, and the more you will remember who the hell you are. And just to know whatever emotions you have, they are justifiable given what you've been through. They are valid and they are normal as well. So don't beat yourself up. Don't see it as a failing if you feel like you need to cry every day. Because I did that for a long, long time. I literally cried a river. And that is not a failing on your part. That is your body doing exactly what it needs to do. It is teaching you, it is communicating with you, it is telling you what you need to do, which is process this emotion. Release this emotion. Thank this emotion for keeping you safe. Thank this emotion for allowing you to validate how your body and your mind feel. But release it with love and gratitude. And then go again. And often, just so you know, when we release emotions, whatever that looks like for us, we can feel really fatigued. We start to feel tired and it is quite draining sometimes. So if you're feeling like that, know that that is normal. But just know once you've released those emotions, once you've rested because your body's recalibrated, quite literally, once you've had a good sleep, you will feel better the next day. Whereas the more you push those emotions down, suppress them, get swept away into this heightened kind of emotional state, the more your body will be disconnected, the more your body and your mind, your energy will be out of alignment, disconnected, and the more and the longer it will take you to feel like yourself again. So I hope that has been helpful, and please just know whatever you're feeling at the moment, as I said, it is valid. It really is. And just give yourself grace to know that it's okay and it's absolutely normal. And for those of you that want to know more about my work with kind of energy, nervous system recalibration, how I bring ladies from feeling, you know, overwhelmed, anxious, on edge to feeling confident again, regaining their identity and living the life they deserve, reach out, because my Tesla Code Return to Self program is literally all about that. And I'm so passionate about sharing it with as many ladies as I can, because you all deserve to live a life that you desire, not a life that anyone else chooses for you, one that you choose for yourself. Anyway, lovelies, I will love you and leave you. Take care, everyone, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.